Hello, my name is Justin Charlton-Jones. I'm one of the business coaches behind the NoLimits community. Welcome to the portal and to my talk on the steps that you can take to increase the profit and minimize the losses in your business. Please take notes, but there is a detailed article about this topic on the website that you can read in your own time. So, how to increase the profitability in your business and minimize your losses. Profitability is a measure of a company's ability to generate the maximum amount of revenue while incurring minimal costs. Usually, profit goes up as sales increase and/or costs decrease. But in reality, achieving profitability is anything but simple, because sales and costs are not necessarily incremental. Focusing too much on increasing your sales could leave you at risk if there's a sudden unforeseen decrease in demand, for example. And cutting costs by bringing in lower quality materials could lose you customers. So, how do we maximize the profits in the business? We're going to focus on two topics. Firstly, what does it mean to maximize profit? What practical steps can you take to do so? And also, how can we increase resilience in our business and customer satisfaction? So, how can we increase the profits in our business? One of the first things that people do is to look at their operating costs. Operating expenses, commonly known as OPEX or overheads or operating costs, are the costs associated with running your business. Operating costs include rent, utilities, the equipment and stock that you buy, your marketing and advertising, R&D, general admin, and of course, your staff payroll. Operating costs don't include the costs directly associated with product production or the delivery of your services. These are accounted for in the cost of goods sold, also known as direct costs, or for big ticket items like buildings or machinery, they're covered by capital expenditure. When companies need to cut costs, then very often their OPEX, their overheads, is the first place that they look, because these expenses are not directly related to production. However, if you cut your operating costs unwisely, you can have long-term negative effects on the business. So you and your management team need to review any possible reductions and understand how a decrease in, for example, your advertising expenditure or your marketing will impact sales in 6, 12, or 18 months' time. Similarly, cutting your research and development budget today may leave you in a position where in 12 or 24 months' time, you have no new products to release. So consider carefully the impact of any cuts in your operating costs. The second area you can look at is adjusting your pricing and the cost of goods sold. So the cost of goods sold, these are the direct costs associated with making a product or delivering a service. Typically, it's raw materials and labor costs. The most important thing is that your cost of goods sold, your direct costs, are calculated accurately and kept as consistent as possible so that your products or services can be priced correctly. So to do this, you need to define, track, and price the time and the material resources that are needed to complete each project that's built or delivered. By standardizing the manufacturing or the delivery process, you should be able to accurately anticipate true costs and avoid large discrepancies from one project to the next, thus standardizing your cost of goods sold. How many of you know what the break-even is on one of your projects? How many of you know what the costs are accurately every time you sell to your customers? Because until you understand these, you can't even think about adjusting your pricing or your cost of goods sold. And as I mentioned previously, your direct costs, cost of goods sold, can be decreased immediately by decreasing your labor costs or by substituting less expensive components or raw materials. But again, as with operating costs, consider the long-term implications. Will your production speed or your product quality suffer as a result of these changes? A third area you can look at is your product portfolio and prices. So it's important to understand the true unit margins for each product in your portfolio and to keep that information updated regularly. As a rule of thumb, before you add a new product offer, review your current portfolio. Are there any products that are underperforming? Do you have difficult to produce items that eat away at your margins, your time, and your money? Would a price decrease on your highest margin products increase sales? And at the same time, don't be afraid to discontinue products with the lowest margins or raise their prices. A fourth area to look at is upselling, cross-selling, reselling. We all know the old saw that it costs 5 to 7 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an old one. So if it's so expensive to acquire new customers, clever companies know that one of the best ways to increase sales is to introduce your current customers to additional products via upselling, cross-selling, and reselling. So you need to make sure that all of your sales team are trained in upselling techniques, that they know how to approach the conversation without being pushy and turning the customer off from the purchase altogether. And key to this is using an informative educational sales approach, explaining how premium features could add benefits that might help the customer, making clear comparisons, perhaps in a grid or in some form of graphic that can educate your customers on the features and the benefits of the different products or models that are available to them. Cross-selling is also an easy way to increase a current customer's frequency of purchase with you. Consider promotions to introduce customers to additional products, particularly new ones. Think a free bottle of shampoo, for example, with the hairspray that they've come in to buy. Cross-selling can also be part of a special promotion, or simply a recommendation from the sales rep that items pair well together. Finally, consider cross-selling by automatically promoting personalized options based on the items in a customer's online shopping trolley. Finally, reselling is one way in which companies who manufacture products, physical products, are generating additional revenue. By offering a resale program, customers can donate or sell back products that they no longer want, but which are still in good condition. And with some refurbishing and cleaning, the merchandise can often be resold, increasing your profitability, but also decreasing waste in terms of unwanted items. The fifth point to consider is increasing your customer's lifetime value, also known as don't underestimate the power of happy clients. Understanding your customers and delivering consistently excellent experiences is perhaps the most cost-effective way to increase loyalty and acquire new customers through referrals. And you can show appreciation for their existing customers. How do you do this? Well, consider offering incentives, personalized promotions of a product that a customer's expressed interest in, plus perhaps a code to share with friends or family. Encourage referrals. Have a referral program. Every business should have a formal referral strategy that rewards your customers for recommending your product or service. Then there's recommendations and reviews. Incentivize your customers, encourage them to review and promote their favorite products or services on social media platforms, but also collect testimonials and Google reviews from them. And finally, think about the experience that your customers have. Interactions with a company can trigger an immediate and lasting effect on your customer's sense of trust and loyalty. Valuable, reliable service and quality products will always be important, but the experience and the connection that your customers have with you are what sets a company apart in highly competitive markets. A seventh point to consider is reviewing your demand forecasts. So do you have more components or raw material that you require to create the products that are currently being sold? If so, you'll end up spending money to store it, or even worse, it could actually expire and need to be replaced. But if you don't have enough of it, you'll have to pay for rush orders and shipping, which could increase the cost of goods sold. So review your demand forecasts. Did you know that a couple of years ago, shoppers in America returned merchandise worth more than $300 billion, with a significant chunk of those items ending up back in the hands of distributors? Make sure you have a plan to extract the maximum revenue from any returned items, if that's how your sales model works. The ability to accurately predict the required stock based on historical demand, seasonality, and sales forecasts will help to mitigate these different problems. Another way to increase your profit is to sell off old stock. Let's say that you have a promotional or a seasonal product, it doesn't sell as well as you expected, and you're left with obsolete stock. Every day that this stock is sitting in your warehouse, it's taking up space that could be used to store goods that are high movers and actually create a profit for you. So try to sell that obsolete stock. Options include third-party retailers, such as Amazon or eBay, discounting, outlets, reverse logistics vendors, or barring that, just consider donating items for a tax-free write-off. Deciding which path to take will depend on a number of factors, including the cost of transportation, inspection, and restocking. But once you've managed to clear it, think about where things went wrong and how to avoid overproduction in the future. Another way to increase your profit is to engage your employees more. One innovative way, for example, is to engage workers in helping to reduce waste in the business. This is also a way to introduce a corporate and social responsibility project while saving money. Your employees are actually the experts on the most efficient ways to use the materials in your business, such as cut plans for fabrics. By collecting their insights and incorporating their ideas into the build process, you can minimize waste. You can ensure the proper components are used so that the finished product is completed correctly and passes quality inspection, and you can provide a way to give back to the environment and help with customer satisfaction. Any product that has to be disassembled in order to be repaired, or even worse, has to be thrown out, will increase your labor costs and waste. The more specific you can be about what components to use, such as specifying the bin in which each one is located or having the bin light up when your staff are picking components, the more accurate your builds will be, and the greener your industry, and the higher your profit. Another area to consider is order efficiency, making sure that the correct product actually gets sent to the customer first time. This ensures customer satisfaction and it maximizes your profit. Because if you deliver an incorrect item, you're going to have to send the correct item, you're going to incur a second shipping charge, possibly even a third one to have the original item returned, and you incur staff costs to receive the returned item, inspect it, repackage it, put it back on the shelf, or potentially dispose of it at a cost to you. And then the final area I'm going to, the penultimate area I'm going to talk about is adding recurring revenue. If you want to grow the profit in your business, then getting consistent revenue coming in, recurring revenue, is a great way to maximize profit. And there are two main routes to increasing your monthly, to increase monthly recurring revenue or annual recurring revenue. So think about different things that you can do, adding services to products. So for example, if you provide equipment, you could provide routine cleaning and maintenance for an additional fee. This would increase customer satisfaction potentially because it removes the burden from the customer of making sure that your machinery, for example, is maintained and is done on time, effortlessly, and to the correct standards. You could also have product subscriptions, for example. If you have a customer who regularly purchases the same product from you, then think about automatic fulfillment for these routinely purchased items, and then consider offering discounts, perhaps on automatic refills of the most commonly purchased products. And then the final point about maximizing your profit is about measurement. You must have the tools in the business to measure your performance. You need benchmarks, and you need to establish key performance indicators which you can review regularly. Having these benchmarks, having KPIs, ensures continuous improvement. It addresses any outliers. It ensures that problems are identified and remedied quickly before they become major issues and before costs start to creep in. So if you need any help with implementing any of these ideas, or if you'd like to talk to one of the NoLimits business coaches about any aspect of your business, our contact details are on the portal. Thank you very much for listening.